Welcome back to Grace and Grounded, and we're going to continue the red letter study, and we're on day 6. Today we're going to be continuing through Jesus' words on the Sermon on the Mount, and we're going to be looking at Matthew 5:6. It says, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied." Okay, there is so much packed in just this one sentence. Jesus talks about hunger, he talks about thirst, and then he talks about righteousness. But he doesn't stop there. He also gives us a promise. He says that they shall be satisfied. But what exactly is Jesus teaching us here? I tell you what, hunger and thirst got me thinking about the reality show Survivor. Okay, stick with me for just a second. If you don't know what Survivor is, people are actually dropped off into a remote environment and they have to figure out how they're going to survive with really limited resources. They have to build a shelter, and then they have to go out and forage for food. They also have the opportunity to win food with different rewards for games that they compete in. But imagine that some of them have been out there for days and they haven't been able to catch anything and they haven't won any rewards. Food becomes incredibly important. So when someone finally catches a fish or finds something that they can eat, you can just see the relief on their face and on the face of their teammates. Because when you're truly hungry, you see, food isn't entertainment, it's necessary. And I think that's exactly why Jesus chooses to use the language that he does here. He could have said, "Blessed are those who desire righteousness," but he didn't. He said, "Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness." You see, Jesus is describing something that isn't just merely nice to have. He's describing something that we recognize as necessary. Food isn't just something that we enjoy. We all know that our bodies need to have nourishment in order to function. Food, we all know, provides the energy for our bodies. It gives us the nutrients that help us grow, repair, and maintain our bodies. And without that proper nourishment, our bodies can't function the way that they were truly designed to function. And that's, I think, where Jesus' illustration becomes so powerful. We understand that our physical bodies need physical nourishment, but we don't ever really think about what our spiritual portion needs. And that's what I want to go into. You see, we can spend hours feeding our minds with entertainment. We constantly consume social medias. We call it the dead scroll, right? We can fill our heads with opinions of other people. We can chase success, approval, comfort, and achievement, and yet we neglect the very thing that our souls were created to need. God and His truth, that's what it was for. Jesus is telling us to develop a hunger for something that actually nourishes us spiritually, and that's righteousness. But what exactly is righteousness, and how are we supposed to hunger for it? Righteousness is actually being right with God and wanting to live right before God. It means that we're aligned with God's character, His word, His way. And it's important that we understand that righteousness does not mean perfection. We don't make ourselves righteous enough through good behavior. Our standing with God comes only through Christ. But when Christ changes us, our lives should begin moving in a different direction. Everything should begin to change our thoughts and our motives. It should change how we look at relationships and our choices. And even the responses that we have should begin to change. We begin wanting God's His way more than our way. And I think that's what Jesus is talking about. It isn't simply about our behavior. Jesus wants to deal with our hearts. And now we have to make it personal because that's just what we do. We all hunger for something. So let's be honest. It could be success. Maybe it's recognition, approval from others, the pat on the back. Maybe it's having the nice house or the next job. Maybe it's needing to be right all the time. And none of those things are necessarily wrong, but it can become dangerous when they become the thing that we believe that will actually finally satisfy us. Because what we hunger for eventually influences what we're going to pursue. So if I hunger for approval, then I'm going to shape my life around people's opinions. And if I hunger for control, then surrender's always going to feel like a threatening thing. If I hunger for comfort, sacrifice is going to always feel like it's just too much. But if I hunger for righteousness, that's where I have to start beginning to ask God, what is it that you want, instead of always asking, what do I want? And that's the transformation that Jesus is describing. Jesus isn't talking about performing righteousness. You see, Jesus doesn't say, blessed are those who have achieved righteousness. He says, blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. And I think that's important that we catch that, because we can become really good at looking righteous without actually desiring righteousness. We can know all the right words. We can go to church. We can read our Bibles and even post scriptures. And even for some of us, it's knowing Christian terminology, but yet still have a heart that's primarily pursuing ourselves and our pride. Jesus isn't interested in like a religious image. He's interested in what we hunger for, what our heart desires. He wants to change what we desire. So what exactly does that reveal about Jesus? Well, it reveals that Jesus is holy. He doesn't lower God's standard of righteousness to make us comfortable. It reveals that Jesus is heart-focused. He's not merely concerned with what our outward behavior. He's more concerned about what's happening inside of us. And it reveals that Jesus understands our deepest need. He knows the things that we chase in this world cannot ultimately satisfy us. And that's the reason there's so much depression and suicide and things that are going on in the world. You can have success and still be empty. You can have approval and still be so insecure. You can have comfort and still be restless. You can have everything that you thought you wanted and still discover that you're hungry for more. And Jesus knows what our soul needs. And then he gave us the promise. He said, they shall be satisfied. So Jesus isn't promising that if you pursue righteousness that you're going to get everything you want. And if that's what you think, I'm sorry to disappoint you. He's not promising you an easy life. He's actually promising something deeper. He's promising true satisfaction. The world keeps telling us to get more, achieve more, be noticed, find the next and greatest, get the most followers, the most likes. And maybe that will finally make you happy. But Jesus actually says hunger for righteousness, because our souls were never designed to be satisfied by the things of this world. So just as food nourishes our physical bodies, righteousness nourishes something deeper within us. Jesus promised they shall be satisfied. So hungering for righteousness, it might mean choosing honesty when lying maybe would have been easier. It might mean apologizing when you know that you're wrong, instead of trying to defend yourself. It might mean choosing humility instead of needing to win. It might mean responding to conflict by asking, what response would honor Christ here? Instead of, how can I prove that I'm right? It might mean walking away from gossip, refusing to feed comparison. Maybe it's meaning that obeying God in private when nobody else will ever know. So don't just ask, am I doing enough spiritually? I think we should be asking ourselves, what am I feeding? What are you constantly putting into your mind? What are you allowing to shape your desires? What are you continually pursuing? What do you think will finally make you satisfied? Maybe the hardest question, though, is if God asked me to choose between getting what I want and doing what is right, which would I choose? Jesus isn't simply telling us to do more righteous things. He's telling us to develop a hunger for righteousness. And when we desire things of righteousness, you're going to see things starting to change. And what we do eventually is changing too. So I guess the big takeaway is Jesus doesn't call us to look righteous. He calls us to hunger for righteousness. Remember, righteousness isn't perfection. It's just direction. kind of rhymes. It's a heart that says increasingly, God, I want what you want, even when what you want is different from what I want. And remember, what you feed grows. What you hunger for is going to shape what you pursue. And ultimately, what you pursue will shape who you become. That's it for today. I will see y'all tomorrow for day 7 of the Red Letter Study. I think we're going to make this be a 30-day. We'll see. That's what I'm shooting for, a 30-day study. So anyway, thanks for following me on this journey. And if you have anything that you want to add to the study, please do. I would love to hear your thoughts, or what do you get out of the passage? What heartbeat of Jesus do you feel? Let's make this a cool little community of just like conversation, because I promise I don't have all the right answers. I could be totally off on some of these things. It's just my perspective of things, my reality, and what helps me dissect and understand what Scripture's saying sometimes. Anyway, that's enough for today. I digress. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.